Welcome to Breezeway's People Behind the Property series. This series celebrates the professionals who make vacation rentals more than just places to stay. Because behind every spotless clean, every smooth check in, and each thoughtful touch, there's someone dedicated to elevating hospitality. Our goal is simple it's to share these stories, to share their impact, and to remind us all that great guest experiences start with great people. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of People Behind the Property. I'm joined today by Elizabeth Mantone, who is joining us from Maui. Elizabeth, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much. Yeah, a pleasure to be here. Been on Maui from my perfect days for a little over a year now, and I'm the owner relations director here. We got about 7 OR managers, and I love Breezeway.
Oh, well, we love that you love Breezeway. Thank you. I'm so
Absolutely.
excited. When we started doing these, we put out a nomination, and I've been so excited about the responses that we've gotten and from people who are doing all sorts of roles. So tell me a little bit about what your day-to-day looks like as an owner relations manager.
Oh yeah, but kind of chaos, right? Um, so just depending upon the day, depending upon the season, it's across the board. We get some really happy things with guests that are, you know what I mean, on their anniversaries and weddings, right? Maui is like a huge destination for everybody to come to for so many things, family reunions. So we love, the owners get to sell their condos and they're so happy to have people enjoying their properties. Day to day just is all over the place, right? We come in the morning and just see what emails come in and how we can best support our owners. We did kind of have some situations a year or so ago with the fires, so we're still kind of recovering from that. Bookings are down. We're trying to get through it, and just we're looking forward to whale season. So just going day by day.
I love that. And how many, in your scenario, you said you have 7 OR managers on the
Yes.
team. So how many, on average, sort of how many homeowners are you guys all working with on a, is it sort of a shared pool, or do you have a designated group of owners that you work with?
Yeah, we have a designated group of owners. We try and get that relationship building together, right? So sometimes it's just easier if, like, I know who you are, I know your grandkids, you know what I mean? I know your likes, your dislikes. It makes it a little bit easier. Each of the guys carry about 60 owners.
Okay. And yes, it's so funny how in our industry, how much relationships really do play a part into what we're doing. Because I think, we talk about this a lot. People buy from people they like, they want to work with people they like, they want to talk to people they like, they trust people that they like. And in your role, it does require, a lot of trust, right? You're, for probably most of your owners, their local eyes and ears of like what guests are saying about their properties, what needs to be updated, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So, and that is why I think they like us being here, because exactly that. We are local. We're here. If there's a problem, if there's a question, we can drive to the property and see exactly what's going on, because things happen all the time. Units break water above them, and right, there's a flood in your unit. And, so things do happen all the time. So, yeah, it's nice to have that trust and that relationship that they can call us and just say, hey, what's going on? Or, talk to me, let me know how things are.
Yeah.
So it is. Trust is huge.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I remember, prior to joining Breezeway, which seems like ages ago, and it truly was. It was like, 10 years ago at this point. I worked for a company called Flipkey, and we did guest reviews. And I remember that one of the things that that we heard a lot was like, I've been asking this homeowner to make A, B, or C improvement to their property, and they haven't sort of been open to doing it, but then they start to see it in reviews, and they and they seem to be a little bit more open to making some of those improvements. But as I've gotten to know a little bit more of this side, sort of the back of house operational side of the business, and learned a little bit more about like the role of owner relation managers and sort of what that looks like, it's also so interesting because I think that, if they have that trust with you and you can say, hey, John, like, I'm not just asking you to spend money, but if we do A, B, and C, this is what we're going to be able to sort of expect, right? That trust goes so far.
Yeah, you're right. It really does. And, with that trust, we actually, with Breezeway, we're able to say, hey, you've had, this amount of negative reviews or good reviews. You've had your sofa replaced like 6 months ago, and we're now having a problem with it, or sofa sleeper, or you know what, you've had this sofa sleeper for 2.5 years, and we really need to get you a new one.
Yeah.
So Breezeway totally helps us with that. It helps us build the trust. It helps us keep things aligned. So yeah, it's definitely it's a valuable tool, and it's kind of just how we, you know what I mean, spend our days.
I love that. What do you think, when you think about your day, right? You probably have some incredible owners in your portfolio that you work with on a daily basis. What is most satisfying about your job?
I think the relationship, it's like we literally they send us their grandkids pictures. You know what I mean? Like we have so many owners that just, again, that relationship. It's so nice to be able to talk to people and just get to know them, different places in their lives, different things that they're doing, their families, really managing their property so that they can be successful. Company can hopefully be successful. You know what I mean? And whether it's an investment property for them or it's for their grandkids after they retire, whatever it is that we can maintain their property, and just we meet some really great people.
Oh, I bet. I'm sure. And everybody has to be happier when they're on that beautiful island.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. What do you think? This one might be a little harder, right? Because I think that your owners have pretty good visibility into a lot of the work that you're doing, but is there something that you wish that every owner, whether it's somebody that you work with or not, but kind of knew about the role that you're in and sort of understood about the work that you do, that would make your job easier, would maybe make them more successful, or maybe like a little bit more symbiotic relationship between the two?
That is a good question. What do we want the owners to know? I think a lot of things,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Trying to do what we can.
yeah, I can do this all day. I think one of the things that we'd really like them to know, and just kind of understand, is we really are their advocate. We really want the best for them, and kind of like you mentioned before, we're not saying, you know what, you need to buy this because we just want you to buy this, or hey, this needs to be updated, or whatever the case is. We really want the best for your property. We want it to sell the best. We want you to get the best reviews. We're not perfect. We make mistakes.
We
You know
are
what I mean?
human.
Hopefully we correct them in the right way and we don't lose your trust. You know what I mean? But it is, we want them to know that we really do, we value them, we value their property, and we want to make money, we want to work hard, we want you know what I mean, our families to do well, theirs and ours both, and we want people to come to Maui and enjoy their time here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is one of those things, right? I think that like when we start to think about there's so many things on a daily basis that you're doing, right? You're looking at, yeah, I'm sure you're looking at like booking revenues and how they're comparing to other properties that are similar, and also like what are their goals, and like, do they have minimums sort of that they've put in place for you guys to sort of operate through, and how are you, like you said that you're advocating for them, like how have they set you up to successfully do that? Because I do think that, like, this role, I say a lot, like if you don't have a clean property, it doesn't matter how many owners you have, it doesn't matter how many how great your listings are, how amazing your website is, right? There's all of these things that are sort of, if this, then that, or, and, there's so many logic based rules in our industry. But I also think like if you have a bunch of owners who are like, oh, this house has been in our family for, 100 years or 20 years, and like, we're not making any investments in it, it just sort of is what it is, that makes your job harder. And I'm sure that there are some homeowners in your, maybe not in your portfolio, we will say this is not you, but generally speaking, in owner relation manager roles, right? There are some owners who there's so much opportunity, but maybe they're not willing to invest. And so I think, like you said, like understanding what the homeowner's goals are really allow you to advocate and sort of be, to do best by them. Because so much of what we've seen, especially over the last, 5 to 7 years, is homeowners have different, they're homeowners for different reasons, right? They may be investors, they may be familial, they may be, new homeowners that don't understand,
Yeah.
um, how a rental actually works. So there's probably a lot of education that you have to do as well in your role, and sort of what it means. to rent their properties.
Right? Yeah, there's definitely a lot of education. And again, am I just buying this property brand new? Do I have 5 other properties in a portfolio? Is this my life savings? Is this just an investment? And let's see what happens, right? And of course, we also have we've got Bill 9 lingering over us here with the whole short-term rental vacation
Right.
ban that we're working through. So we're waiting for the government to kind of make a decision. What properties will be impacted? Will they? Won't they? You know what I mean? So it's also a balance with community, right? It's balancing the community, the needs here after the fire and everything that's happening. We want to support them. We're obviously going to support our owners and our position in the short-term rental industry. So yeah, it's a lot of education. It's the trust. It's communication. Make sure that they know. Make sure they feel heard. And then make sure that they do understand so that they can set us up to succeed, like you're saying. We need that input, we need that buy-in, and we need you to trust us that we can manage your property in, get whatever you want out of it, that we can manage it successfully and get what you need, for sure.
Absolutely. What do you think, you know, education, communication, advocating, understanding what's going on in their property, all of these things so important for you to be able to successfully do your job. I'd love to talk a little bit about how Breezeway helps you do your job and sort of how that plays into your daily activities.
Yeah, so Breezeway is our source of truth. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Everything that happens in that property, we need to be in there, right? So we need to know when the last microwave was updated. Does it have a warranty? How old is it? You know what I mean? Replacement parts. We need Breezeway to literally run our lives. So, right, each property, each everything, the bedding, like I said, appliances, air conditioning. When was it serviced last? Set up every 6 months to have items serviced, or whatever the cases might be. And then all of our different inspections and our cleanings. What did the cleaner find? What happened with the guest issue?
Yeah.
What happened upon an arrival inspection? Something got broken, something needs to be replaced, something stained, right? It is literally our life. Breezeway starts our day and ends our day with every single thing we need to do in the property. Yeah.
Um, that's crazy to think, not crazy to think, but it's wild to sort of see. I remember there being a point in my time when I was with FlipKey where I thought, hey, this tool is doing so much more than what we initially intended for it to do, right? So when we built the product, we built it to say, hey, we want to make the work that you're doing in the property so much easier. And as through inspections, through maintenance, through cleanings, through scheduling, through all of that. And I think to see, hearing you say that, it just sort of hit me that was like, yes, this is so instrumental for people who are out doing work in properties every day. But like also like listening to you talk, you are sort of collecting all of that information in real time and then figuring out what needs to be dispersed, how, when, where, what does that look like? And so it's this sort of additional benefit of our product that like you actually just made me sort of think of. And I know I've known that, but like as you were sort of going through that, I was like, oh wow, yeah. So it is built. And I think that's been something that as we've really like dug into the product and what we've been doing, right, and why we sort of wanted to launch this behind the property series is that we built this tool, but this tool was built for all of, for you, for your owner relations manager colleagues, for your cleaning teams, for your housekeeping department managers and all of that. And so it's really, really fun to hear you talk about how you use that. And so I'm curious if you had to pick, what are some of your like favorite features within, obviously the tracking is really important, but what are some of your favorite features within the platform that you access regularly?
Breezeway having the calendar, I love to be able to see the calendar. You can see exactly how the reservations are, and you can see exactly how every task is going to fall out, right? So you've got a plan and you've got a view of that whole little guest interaction in that specific unit. We have the notifications that just came out. We like using that. We love the tags and labels, right? So we can tag our properties. We can tag all of our properties as an OR. So I don't want to look at anybody else's. I just want my own properties because that's what I need.
There's enough going on just in those 60 homes.
Just me. Thank you. And I also think too, it's nice to be able to put in property specifics, right?
Yeah.
So the owner says, hey, I want my furniture like this. This is how I want my bed to look. This is how I want my bathroom to look. I can take a picture, I can set it up, and I can say, every arrival, this is how we need this to look. This is the standard. So I think Breezeway, again, just as an owner relations manager, we're not in the unit every day, right? So we see them, we visit them, but it's not like it's every day. So we rely on Breezeway. Show us the pictures, show us who's coming and going. When did the clean happen? When did the arrival happen? You know what I mean? Like everything is in there. Any type of, I don't know how to get to the garbage dumpster. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so any
Anything.
question, everything is in Breezeway. So like literally source of truth. It just it runs our world. And when we've got it set up well, it works amazingly. And when we don't do our due diligence, we're scrambling. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting. I think, I talk to a lot of folks as they join our team, and as I'm walking them through the product, I talk about property specific requirements. And one of the things that consistently sticks with me is this idea of, you know, there's all of these, you're not your company, but generally speaking, there are all of these like promises that are made when we're trying to acquire a new owner. Oh, we're going to do this, and oh, we're going to do that. And I think that like what I love about that property specific requirements piece, right, is the opportunity to like everybody, nobody's making false promises in those conversations, and that's never anybody's goal. But sometimes the execution of those promises can be really tricky. And so I think that like, to be able to say, hey, this is what you told me was important to you. These are the things that are now also equally as important to us. And I'm making sure that those things are done, is again, sort of circling back to that. That's how you build that trust with them. That's how, they start to say, okay, Elizabeth really has my best intentions when it comes to my home, which I think is really cool. Um, is there something that, over your time in this role, because you've been in hospitality for a while prior to this, but a trick or something that you've sort of picked up, that has made a difference in sort of how you interact with and communicate with your homeowners, that maybe you change, over time?
Yeah, I think just sometimes I hate to say it, less is more. Right? So we get the information, we have it in our systems, we have what we need, but sometimes less is more. Let's just give you the facts, let's just give you the information, and then if you need more, we can provide it. But I think a trick is definitely communicate, and let's just make sure less is more.
Yeah.
Here's the facts.
That is a life lesson that I could also stand to learn. That conciseness is not my forte, as I'm sure you can tell. Okay, let's talk a little bit about some of your experiences, and I'm curious, how you feel, right, when you have a really positive interaction with an owner, or they recognize like how hard you're working for them. Like, tell me a little bit about like, you know, the impact that can have on your day.
I mean, seriously, right? Like anytime somebody gives you, I don't want to say praise or you know what I mean? Like anything like that, or just makes you feel like you're important to them. Like, this is my job. I get paid to do it. I love it. And a lot of people, you know what I mean, like working with me. Some maybe not so much, but you know what I mean? Like to be able to have an owner that literally is just like, they'll call and they'll be like, Elizabeth, maybe we had a bad review with the air conditioner. Can you tell me what's going on with it? But first, what's your family? How are you? Like, how's the island? How's the family? When you just get that, again, relationship with people, right? It's just about like they care. They care
Yeah.
about you, they care about your family, they ask the questions. And then we'll also get the few, and I get them from the ORs too, that just say they send us gifts or they bring in stuff to appreciate us. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my gosh, that's the sweetest thing ever.
Yeah.
It does a huge impact whenever anybody does something, goes out of their way to do something nice for you, because again, right, it's our job, we're paid to do this. We try really hard, and we want to do it really well, and we want to make sure the owners are happy and satisfied, and you know what I mean. It's really nice when we're recognized for
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Well, and I think there are hard days in any industry. There are, I know that we talked a little bit about this before we started recording, but like, Maui is still recovering from the devastating fires that hit you guys. And I think that can be really Difficult. I mean, it's difficult in general, right? Like, but in your role, right, you've got owners who are probably questioning, like, am I going to be able to like keep this property? Does it make sense for me to keep it? And so I think that like, not everything is sunshine and roses, and you have to have hard conversations
Yeah.
with your owners, probably on hopefully not on a too regular of a basis, but on a consistent basis across a portfolio of that size, I'm sure. So how do you sort of how do you keep your energy up? How do you stay positive when you do have those hard days?
Yeah. Can I say tequila?
You should. Can you say it? Yeah, you sure can.
Definitely helps. No, I'm only kidding. I think staying positive is because not kidding, but anyway, I think staying positive because right, there's going to be hard days. It's the reality.
Yeah.
And I think that's just it, right? Like that is the world we live in. Stuff is happening. We are still recovering. Market's soft here, so right, there's definitely a lot of challenges. I think having the conversations with the owners and when they really understand and they're just like, oh, we get it, certainly helps. You know what I mean? But I think just staying positive because, right? I mean, I live in Maui.
Yeah. I mean, I
There's
bet
tequila.
your view is way better than mine. I'm in Ohio. I promise if we compared window views, you're gonna win.
I mean, we're in Maui. There's tequila, there's family, there's friends, there's the people we work with. Yeah, you have to just stay positive. Of course, there's always hard days. You just got to move on day by day.
What do you think? What do you think if your song had a theme song, what it would be?
I will survive, maybe. We will survive. Yeah, we will survive. I will survive. We will make this, and everything it's gonna be great. Bookings are gonna come back to the way that they were, and yeah, it's gonna be great.
I'm going to start asking this question on every webinar that I do because the answers that I have gotten to this question are so fun. And they're all so perfectly aligned with the people that we're talking to. So this is amazing. I love that. Okay. What do you think is a part of your job, Elizabeth, that you do that maybe nobody recognizes that you do, but if you didn't do, would absolutely recognize that it wasn't being done?
I say that I'm the housekeeper here in the office, and I'm constantly cleaning the office up after everybody. So they would appreciate it if I stopped doing it.
Or
Let's see.
they would notice it for sure if you stopped
They
doing.
would absolutely notice it for sure. But work-wise, something that I do, huh? Geez, I don't know. They all recognize, I mean, I have to say I'm recognized for, you know what I mean? I have an amazing team. We are a crazy but amazing bunch of people. I love working with them. Um, Something I do, probably run our meetings. You know what I mean? Make sure that every week we all get together. We can all talk. We can all express ourselves. You know what I mean? Say what's just been crappy or been great, and we can all talk about it. We can collaborate. So I think if I didn't do that, I think they would really notice it. It might not happen. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't be scheduled. It wouldn't happen, and it wouldn't happen perhaps as openly and as fun as we make it. Even though, like you said, some days are really hard, and some days you just have to complain, and then other days you know what I mean, are just really great. So they would notice, I think, if I didn't make them have the meetings and talk about everything that we talk about.
I love that. Well, and I think I think that is absolutely something where, bringing the fun and continuing to build your internal relationships just like you build those relationships with your homeowners is so important because that's what it takes in an industry where you know not even in an industry, just in general, right? In an organization when you got to pick up the slack for somebody when maybe something's going on in their life or somebody's on vacation or somebody's ill or whatever the case may be, right? Like it is about like teamwork and like building that collaborative environment in which you all feel comfortable to share with each other and it makes you all want to work harder collectively for
So
not only your owners but also for the organization as well.
Yeah, our team's amazing. They love all of their owners. They are so passionate about what they do. They want to make sure everything is right. And yeah, sometimes it's hard, right? You're relying on housekeeping to do housekeeping and maintenance to do maintenance. And you know what I mean? Like you're relying on all these teams. And then you're the face to the owner, right? So sometimes it's difficult. But we work wonderfully together. We have a great team.
That's
Very
amazing.
lucky.
Um, we're gonna wrap things up here in a minute, but before I do the lightning round, which is what I've now decided is my newfound favorite thing to end all of these calls on, I just want to I want to kind of give you a second in the event that there's anything that if there's anything that like you want people to know about being an owner relations manager, or whether it's about being in that role, or about how you use Breezeway, or anything, or industry, or anything, I want to give you a second to share if there's anything. And if you say no, I'm good, then we'll move to the lightning round.
I think I'm afraid of the lightning round, but I think we're good.
Okay. Well, the lightning round is 4 questions, and I'm going to give you 2 options, and you're just going to pick which one is you. And then I might ask a follow-up question depending. All right. So dogs or cats? Dogs. Do you have any pets?
Too. Luna.
Oh, what kind?
She's boy dog from the island. She's Chihuahua, Pomeranian Terrier, and a 12% pit bull in 10 pounds.
Oh my gosh. You said Luna?
I did the DNA test. Yeah, Luna.
That's amazing. I love that. I feel like this is like, I feel like I need to come up with a better one, because this one, every time I'm like, I know what the answer is going to be, but maybe you'll surprise me. Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I would. Okay, so here's a better question. Lots of beaches on Maui. What's your favorite?
I'm gonna go with Waianapanapa, the black sand beach in the state park over on Hana side. It's a special beach. Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
feel
then I
like,
get the mountains too.
yeah, exactly. I also feel like we just got an insider. I would say I would attempt to spell that, but I'm not going to be able to. So we're just going to say black sand beach on the Hana side of the island.
There you go.
And if is it off of the road to Hana, or is it somewhere else over there? Can you
No, it's just down off the road to Hana, maybe 2 minutes down the street from literally the road to Hana.
So then I have
It's
also
just off
been
of
there.
it. Yes, right. It's a beautiful,
So
beautiful
lovely.
beach.
So lovely.
Yes.
All right. This one would be hard, because I think
Uh-oh.
scenarios you sort of have the best case scenario, but sunrise or sunset?
I'm a sunrise.
Okay. You're an
Yep,
early.
I'm up early. I'm up early. That thing comes up over Haleakala. Everything turns pink and purple. You can still see the moon today. Sunrise.
Okay. I love it. It is, and the sunrise over Haleakala is pretty amazing. So,
Pretty
okay,
spectacular.
last one, salty or sweet?
Oh, sweet.
Okay. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. That was so fun. Thank you so much for jumping on a call, for sharing your experience and telling us a little bit more about you. Really enjoyed getting to chat with you.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it.